it's Karen from Liongate Farm. And today I am going to teach you how to make a little harder project. These cute little elephants. We'll even show you how to make a birthday balloon for them. All right, so today I'm going to teach you how to make this elephant. So I'm going to show you two different versions. This guy is very whimsical. See, he has a little square body. I prefer this. My friends prefer this version. But then there is your typical version. Looks like this guy. It's just the body shape that is different. So on the typical, I'll give you the sizes of these guys. The typical version, he'll be about almost 5 inches by 2 inches by 6 inches. Where this guy is 4 inches by 2 inches by 6. So it's just the shape of his body. And this is really more fun. If you saw, I had him holding a balloon, the birthday elephant. It was very cute. So let's get started. I am going to clean up this and post it on the Facebook Liongate Farm group so you can see the parts better. It'll give you something better to follow along with. Uh-oh, I lost my ears. Oh well. I had some pre-made ears I was going to use. So the first thing we're going to do is build an armature. This project is not super beginner, but if you're beginner, you should be able to do it. Believe it or not, this is your armature right here. And 2 legs. So this is what we're going to build. You're going to need a 20-inch 18 gauge wire. 20-inch 18 gauge wire for the body. And then you'll need 2 11-inch wires for his legs. And then that's all the wires that you need. You're going to need a nice big chunk of core wool. And then I'm using this color called Fog. It's kind of a mottled black and gray and white gray color. Then I'm using some scarlet. Actually, this is not scarlet. This is crimson for inside his mouth. And then bits of black for the end of his tail and his eyeballs. So that's really all you need to get going. So first, let's build an elephant. So what you're going to do first is find 15 inches. That's 12, 13. I don't have a 15-inch ruler. So 15 inches. And you're going to bring this down to there. And you're just going to bend it. You're going to bend it. And you're going to twist it. So when you're twisting wire, it's best to have even pressure. I just hold it like that because it's easier for me. But even pressure on the end as you twist it. You don't want to twist it super tight. Just let it twist. We're just making it into one piece, basically. I don't want to use heavier wire on this because his snout is pretty skinny. So this is his head. And we're just going to arch. So we're going to bend this way. I'm going to make a 90-degree angle right there. And then your curve, I always do that. Your curve, it's like 1.5. And then up about 1 inch. Just about 1 inch. And, you know, this becomes his nose. And then to make the whimsical version, you go 3.5 inches and make a bend. That's his tail. So that is your elephant's body. Now, if you're making the non-whimsical version, you're going to go, believe it or not, the difference is 1/2 inch. So you'd go 4 inches and then bend for the tail. So you'd bring it out to here. That's the only difference. So we're going to put these wires aside for a minute, those 11-inch wires, and we're going to take some core wool. And we're going to split it. And I like to start right here at his head. I just wrap it around a hair, just a little bit, and let's secure it just a bit. We're going to secure that. And then we're going to go around. Now, you're thinking we're probably going to go all the way down the snout. We're not going to. I do that last. I'm just wrapping right here. And remember to wrap. You're wrapping flat. Let it go. Come around. Flat. We're just covering our wire right now. Secure it a little. Things are going to bend out of whack while you're doing this. So we still have that. And then we're just covering the wire. This project is a little bit harder than what I normally give you. But you're all up for it. I've been doing these projects for a while. Let's keep wrapping. Don't wrap the tail and wrap back. Just use up your roving. So now we're just going to wrap the body. Don't worry about the head yet. We're just going to wrap. Now I'm going to do something different. Well, maybe not. I'm going to make a hot dog. I'm rolling up a piece of coral. So the piece that I have here is, you don't have to be precise, but this is like 7 by 4 or 7 by 3 because my body is only 3 inches wide. So I'm making a little hot dog. And this is going to go right here. And I'm like, okay. So let's see. I would need one more hot dog. It's all about shapes. And I know I do stuff unconventionally, so we're going to end up with a rectangle here. The thing about elephants is they're not super fat. They're kind of skinny when you look at them from the front. So this is the size I want, I'm pretty sure. So I'm comparing him to this guy. And I have it drawn on my, I have the shape drawn on my instructions here. So now I just tore off a piece and I laid it on top, and I'm just going to connect my little hot dogs together. Now I sit and try to think about the easiest way to teach you guys how to make these things. And this is a whimsical elephant, so by no means is he anatomically correct, skeleton-wise. It's just a fun little elephant. So those of you who've made my videos before know what I'm going to do next, probably. Now I'm going to wrap him around. And I'm not going super tight because I want to maintain my rectangle. I'm just going to add this piece. I'm using 2 38 stars in my pen tool, star spirals in my pen tool. Don't worry if this comes out a little bit, because the chest is going to come out a little bit, because the next wrap we do is going to be this way. Probably need to do 2 of them. Like I said, that head piece is going to move around while we work on the body. So right now I am at 1.5 inches. Remember, I said he's only about 2 inches wide. So let's work this for a little while here. I'm poking it pretty vigorously, sinking my pen tool all the way in, which means it's felting it down inside. There's no wires down here to have to worry about. I was working on one of these yesterday at the doctor's office, and the receptionist came out and took it out of my hand and said, "What are you making?" I'm like, "It's an elephant." And then she took it into the back and had to show it to everybody. And he wasn't even done. It was pretty funny. So you can see we're still soft. This elephant's pretty firm by the time we're done. But while we're still soft, I'm going to take a skewer. Okay, so, and I am going to make a hole. Don't go all the way through yet. Take one of your 11-inch wires. This is a cheat. This is a huge cheat, and just slide it through. And it's like in direct line with where the neck wire is for that one. And in the back, I like it to be about 1 inch in. If you wait too long to put this through, it'll be harder to go through there. But this is my cheat wire legs. Okay, oops. All right, go in there. All right, that is in. So I forgot to tell you, you needed a skewer. Now, find center. There. And this is where you have to decide how tall you want your elephant legs. Okay, because you can make them whatever you want. And I like mine to extend about, I keep going backwards, to be about 1.5 inches past my body. Okay, 1.5 inches. And then make that one match. They're still gonna move around here for a minute. Make your back ones match the front ones. All right, and then hold on to your tip and just twist them up a little bit. You don't have to worry about squeezing that because their legs are pretty wide. And they're gonna move around. So there's 2. 3 and 4. And he should stand up. He's going to be looking like some dodo bird thing right now. I have the tail folded back onto his body while I'm working so that the head doesn't slip out. Now, interesting fact about elephants, their trunk does go all the way to the ground. So make sure that's going to happen. All right. We can build the head up higher so you don't really have to worry about that. So now let's just keep working this body. Now we got our legs in. I want you to take a piece of core, go over the top of the legs. So now you got wires in there. You're going to have to worry about them. Add a piece on this side. We're just covering up those extra wires. So the shape that I have is a rectangle right here. You can see he's starting to firm up a little bit. Felting is all about shapes. So I'm just going to firm up this rectangle. It's going to take me a little bit. And then when I come back, I'm going to show you how we beef him up and finish the head. All right, so I've been working on this for about 15 minutes, and you can see I have a nice, decently firm rectangle. And I know right now you're thinking, how am I going to go from this to this? It's going to happen. You know, things always look like weird little dinosaurs before you get there. So I want you to take a piece of core wool, and we're going to split it. This is about 6 inches, and we're going to split it. And it's super easy. We are going to spread those little front legs apart a little bit. And we're going to wrap a leg. Let's start with the legs. So don't worry about that bottom part being pointy right now. We're going to go back down. So it's subjective as to how fat you want your legs to be. I don't have super fat legs. I like mine about 3/4 of an inch, maybe half an inch, between half an inch and 3/4. And so there's one leg. And don't worry about that sticking out. So we have one leg wrapped up. You went past that little wire. So you see we have one leg. Let's do another leg. Secure your wool. And then just wrap the leg. See, it doesn't matter that we have that loop there. And I'm going past the loop. Keep your wool nice and flat. Adhere it. You do want to make sure that they are the same, however. Can't have one skinny leg, one fat leg, so make sure they're the same. Just bring it back up. I had to add a little to that one. You also want to make sure they're the same length, approximately. We can fix that when we get to the top coat if they're not. Okay, so you have your two front legs. And you're going to take this little bit of wool, you're going to draft it out, and you're going to come behind the leg, and you're going to go up and up. So what we're building up is a little bit of chest, a little bit of shoulder, a little bit of chest, a little bit of shoulder. I need a little bit more here. I build my elephants by adding a little bit here and a little bit there. I hope this is going to make sense for you. Let's do the other leg over here. So we have them loose stuff there. Don't worry about that yet. Same process on this side. The shoulder will go up towards here. So you want to, when you're building it up, you want to add a little piece there. You can see he's getting wider here. We'll add more, don't worry. So let's do the same thing for his back legs. Stewie, the cat, is making comments on the video. He's just groaning over here. I don't know if he's dreaming or what. Make your front legs and your back legs the same size. So you can see this is his hock back here. That's where his, and then you have his belly right there. You can see he's starting to look like a silly elephant. Again, secure the wool, wrap the leg. I can tell you right now, I know this is not enough for this leg, but it will get it mostly covered. Oops, don't let that happen. Let me start again. So if you get too far, like I just did, it will spiral off. I'm gonna add some more. If you want to get very technical, the bottom of their leg is fatter than their leg itself. So you can make them all the same, or you can make this inner part skinnier with lots of poking on the leg, and then the pad of the foot bigger. And then again, we're gonna just wrap around to build this up. And a little bit of muscles in here. Never watched any other elephant tutorials, so I don't know if this is how anybody else does it, but this is how I do it. And I know some of my ways are a little unconventional. I'm just trying to make it easier. So I need to make an elephant butt. Where's that tail? So there's his tail. And what we're going to do now is kind of draw a line so we know where his butt is. So everything on the left side of the line is going to go that way. Remember, we're pushing the wool. We're pushing the wool. And everything on this side of the line, you're going to felt that way. And you should end up with like a little spot here. That would be his belly right there hanging down. So felt in the round. You don't want it flat. Want this to be in. You're pushing that wool to do what you want. And that is determined by the angle of your needle. As long as you're going straight in, straight out, you're going to push that wool. This is also where you find out if you need to add more. If you were going to go make an elephant any bigger than this, I would definitely use at least 16 gauge wire. because this is pretty soft and it does support this size elephant. So you can see how I'm felting it from all angles to get it to be curved instead of flat. That's how we get this curve right here. And then we're going to do this. Still looks like a silly dinosaur, doesn't he? You can see his belly is lower here. We want it kind of maintain the rectangle. So I'm felting in all this loose stuff. So by now your elephant should be starting to firm up along here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add his little head. So take a little piece of core wool, draft it out a little bit. So what we want to do, the trunk's going to be down there. We're going to figure eight this to fill it in again. So how do I want to say this? Elephants have the triangular head. I'm telling you, almost every animal body is the same. Cannon and I were just talking about that. It's just a matter of how you make them look and kind of how they're attached. So they don't have a lot of neck here. So I take a little pillow, make a little pillow, and I'm going to fill this in right here. And you know what I'm going to do next. I'm just going to sit it there. Why I love core wool, it just kind of sticks to itself. And I'm going to wrap it like a bandage on his head. And I'm going to felt it back towards the body. Working towards the body. That will firm it up instead of making his neck long. We don't want a long neck. That would be for a giraffe. I've made one giraffe in my entire felting career, and I probably will never make another one. Way too many spots. You can already see that it's starting to look like an elephant head. So triangular here, and we're going to get wider here in a minute. I'm going to add some more core up here on the top of his head. So this is still pretty loose up here, so I'm felting it a lot. Remember, there's wires in there as you felt along, especially up here around the nose. And they should be starting to move towards the inside of his head as we add to the top. Felt under his chin down here. Well, he doesn't have a chin yet. He will. We're going to add that later. We don't do that out of core wool. Now it's starting to look like an elephant. So I feel like his neck is really skinny, so I'm going to add to his neck right here. Like, I need more wool. I don't know if you're going to need more wool, but I definitely need some more wool right here. Don't be afraid to add a little if you think it's not quite right. Remember, you can always take it away with scissors if you don't like it. I want his chest to come up just a little bit more. I warned you, this is a little bit harder project than we're used to. It doesn't come together as fast as one of my normal ones, but they're so cute. I had to share it. Birthday elephants. So we're getting there. We are getting there. Now, my head is still too skinny, so I am going to roll up a little cheek, put it on the side of his head, way up here. And I'm going to do one on the other side, not quite as big. Just to make his head wider. Again, I'm still felting down toward his neck. And then one more little piece across the top. Let's bring this all together. So if you look at the top here, so his eye's going to end up right there and right there. I can kind of see where they're going to go already. After we added the little cheek thing, their noses stick out in front of their eyes. And we check his trunk is still going all the way to the ground. Just keep checking that. That's how you know your head is in the right position. So everything else I'm going to build up on him. I'm going to do it with the top coat. That's how I feel like I get the best coverage on this guy. So I'm making a line here because there's his leg. And we know this leg is here. And this leg is here. This leg is here and this leg is here. So we're going to start covering him. You're going to take just bits of your fog. I start with the legs. Now, remember what I said, this part right here can be wider than the rest of the leg. So I like to do this part first. And now as I do this, I'm really going to work it. Work it into the bottom. Because now you're felting it in, and this is going to get your elephant totally felted as you put this top coat on. So see how this is coming out just a hair wider than the rest of his leg. So I switched to the single needle because I feel like I have better control covering when I'm doing the legs anyways. This is the perfect color for an elephant. And it gives you depth. So just work one leg at a time. And any extra, just work it up into the shoulder area. Don't be afraid to bend them out. And then we're just going to cover the rest of the legs and the belly, and then I will come back and see where we're at. A little bare spot right there, but I'll come back and we'll have all those done. All right, so got my legs covered. So now I'm working on covering the rest of him. What I'm doing first is building up his thighs back here. So, and then I'm going to build up the shoulder area, kind of. Remember I told you I build up the rest with my color. I suppose if you want to, you could build it up with your core wool. I just like to do it with the color, because then I'm sure everything is super felted in. And I'm laying this on so that it goes top to bottom. I don't know, with this fog color, the way the colors are in there, it just gives it a look of height, I guess, to go that way. So once I get this part on, then I'm gonna give him some belly. Do a little extra. Not below, but right out here. Not a lot, just a little. It's a little lump. You can see I'm working it from the leg towards the middle. Now this I'm not going to felt super hard yet. So that's still kind of squishy. You can felt it all in hard if you want to. Just need more wool. So this is where he starts to take shape, right here. Now we're going to add some to his butt and down to his leg. Having to felt pretty shallow on his leg because I can keep hitting the wire there. So basically I'm just covering him and building up his little muscles at the same time. So the leg is going to stay thinner than this area right here. And this will poke out a little bit. Again, this is just my whimsical rendition of an elephant. Just go along here. I stem myself. I have enough calluses from stabbing myself that I don't often bleed when I stab myself there anymore. But I felt it. Either that or I'm a vampire that doesn't have any blood. So we're going to flip him over. Let's cover this side, just like we were covering the other side. And I know I make this look fast. Take your time. It's not a race. You can see how I methodically move up the animal as I'm felting to ensure I got a little bit too much there on his leg. That it's all felted in. I'm just going row after row. Catch some of the hairies. You notice as we work from the bottom to the top is just going to get covered automatically with all the leftover fringe from the two sides. It takes a lot of this color, to cover him, probably because I'm building up his muscles with the color instead of the core. I'd say it takes a good 3/4 of an ounce on this little dude. So you can see we got most of his back covered here. I don't want to lose his butt. I know it's pretty boring watching me poke, but I want you to see how I systematically build up the different spots. And it's mostly, again, about pushing your wool around. Learning which way your needle will give you the desired effect. And you can also see that he's getting quite firm from all my poking. Just naturally happens as you add the color to the elephant. My wire sank in, tail wire. While we're here, I'll show you how to make the tail. So you're just gonna take a little teensy bit of black, and I don't know what kind of fiber you're using, but with this Corriedale, the staple's pretty short. You know, so I got about 1-inch staple with this sliver, and I'm gonna lay it on here for that tip. I'm just gonna bend that up, and I just spin it together for a second just to hold it. Don't have to felt it yet. And then just take a strip of your gray color, and we're gonna wrap the tail. Keep his tail nice and skinny. Gives him character. Mine came apart right where I didn't need it to. So since we're gonna go back up, I'm just going to, you wanna go down the black a little bit. Nice and tight down this wire. Work your way back up to where you can tack it into the body. You got a little tail there. Got a cute little butt. My tail usually ends up a little bit down the curve of the rump here. Once I get all my fibers on. I should have made his legs a little bit longer. He's got short legs. Who knows? It will just come out how it comes out. Now I'm going to put this, let's cover up his belly. This might make his legs look a little longer once I poke this all in. Remember, if you want the whimsical elephant, though, you got to maintain the almost square rectangle. If you want the more regular looking elephant, you want him to be skinnier through here, not as wide as this. You probably only want him there. It's only a 1/2 inch difference in that armature. It's kind of crazy to get the two different versions. Okay, so we are almost all covered. So let's get his snout covered. Thanks for bearing with me. I know this is a long one. Cannon might have to split it in two. So I just tacked it in, and I'm just wrapping it down. Now, you don't want this too fat. Think pencil width at the most. I like this end. I went past the wire. I'm wrapping it around a bunch, and I'm going to secure it. I like this part right here to be just a hair wider than the rest. So I'm going to go down again. Wrap the same direction or you'll end up with lumps. Keep that roving nice and flat. Getting down here where I can cover that up. So if you make it as wide as your finger, it's too fat. Go past the wire enough to where you can actually get your needle in here. I need a little bit more there. A little bit more around the end. I want an indentation there. You know, like it's hollow, like it's supposed to be. Just a little indent. I'm going to put a tiny bit of the crimson in there. I'll do it right now. Just a tiny bit. If you want to be super technical, they have like a little finger on the end of their trunk. So one side can be shorter than the other to create that illusion. Let's go back and finish his trunk. I'm just going to take pieces and wrap them on there until I get it all the width I want it. And I'm about there. Don't want it too fat. So it's going to graduate up into its head. Have like a little divot right there we need to get rid of. See, I'm just poking this all nice and smooth for right now. Now I'm going to cover the rest. This is too fat right here. Keep looking at them from all the angles. I had some loose stuff right here that needed to be poked in. Remember, we want a triangle here, kind of a triangle there. So I'm going to cover the top of his head. Now, we've done all these easy projects lately, and you guys are probably ready to kill me about now. What? This is a hard one. That was a pretty good chunk of color I just put on there to fill this all in. I'm going to do another chunk right here, and that should complete the head color. Let's get this all stabbed on. This guy's very whimsical. He ended up with a no neck. I'll see what I can do here, though. Because this is not all stabbed in. Sometimes the wool tells you which way to go. You'll definitely be whimsical. Now, if you wanted him to have tusks, you could felt them with a little wire in them. Or you could make them out of Fimo clay and bake them and then glue them, and they would go about right here. You could do tusks on them. So you can see I haven't felted where his chest is yet. See how squishy it still is? You can see how this is getting smaller the more we felt it. He's getting his neck back. Kind of think where his eyes are going to go. They're going to go there and there. I like to poke where they're going to go, so I know what I'm doing here. All right, so let's make his mouth really quick. Cannon's going for a second cup of coffee. I'm taking way too long. All right, for his mouth, you're just going to make a little V. It's about 3/4 of an inch. You're going to fold it along the V, down in. It's pretty thin, what you end up with. Folding it in. So this is basically his mouth and his chin. And you're going to take a little bit of crimson, not very much, a little bit. And we're going to tuck it in here. Leave a line. Leave a little space for his jaw. This is just the inside of his mouth. Give him a little bit of color. Let's stab this in. I'm not worrying if it's coming to the other side. Don't worry about that, because it will. And then just tuck it back in. A little bit of red. And then this piece goes right there on his neck. Don't stab up here yet. We're going to stab this all in. You know me and my smiling creature, so I'm going to give him a smile. Right there. Try and be even. Right there. So now I know where I want his mouth to end. I take just a little bit of glue and cover that over and just blend that in. See, then you have his mouth there. Okay, do a little trunk check. Make sure it still goes to the ground. It does. Take the felt in there a little bit. Give it some shape. If you guys can see what I'm doing. And then we're going to finish covering this, and we'll make some ears. He's very close to being done. Took a nice hefty piece there of roving. Just put it on for his chest. We'll felt in. again, I'm pushing it the way I want it to go. I want it to be curved, so I'm pushing it curved. There's that line where his leg is, right here. I'm not felting this gently, I'm felting hard. Vigorously is a better word. See, even though that was a nice big chunk of color, it's all felting in. I'm building up that little chest. And by poking under his chin, it's making his mouth come down, which is kind of what we want. We want his mouth a little bit open so you can see the red in there. All right, so let's make some ears. Well, this isn't quite done yet here. Every once in a while, make sure he stands up. So if you wanted to size him down for an ornament, I mean, this could be an ornament, but it's pretty big. If you wanted to size him down, you just use a smaller wire and bend the increments appropriately. Or size him up. You'd size him up, but again, if I went bigger than this, you'd use a bigger wire, a bigger gauge wire. Okay, so now we're gonna make some ears. We have a little elephant with no ears. Let's make him here. So I'm gonna take 2 chunks of core wool, or of the color, and they are approximately, I don't know, 2 by 2, not including the fringe. That one's a little thin. I'm gonna add some right there. So on my little paper, I have kind of an outline. You could probably cut it out if you wanted, but I just draw it. I kind of just draw one. And I'm not real accurate about the shape. I just kind of know I want it longer on this side. It's kind of like triangle. So you got the top of the triangle, the side, and the bottom. And then fold in the extra. You know, elephant ears are not perfectly straight lines. They're all kind of wiggly line on the outside. So there's our 2 ears. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit here and felt them, flip them, felt them until I have a nice ear. I did do one with power wax where I power waxed the ears. That took forever to power wax them, and then I ironed them so that the power wax would sit inside the ear. They looked different, but you can do that. So I'm going to peel it off. You could do that and it will lose its shape for a second. If you want super smooth ears instead of like fuzzy ears. If you don't want them super fuzzy, just felt them a whole bunch. Don't make them too thick though. These are pretty skinny. You can see they're thin and I'm not even done felting them. So you can see it's a triangle. And I'm fringy right there. If you think you have a thin spot, add some wool. You can see I had a thin spot. Let's flip it over. Just keep flipping them back and forth until they're nice and felted. You can use your multi-tool, your multi-needle tool to do this. I just feel like I always get better coverage if I'm just using 2 needles. I can see where it's felting. And as you start peeling it, you'll be able to tell when it turns to fabric. Kind of keep track of where your fringe is, because that's where we're going to put them on. And we're about there. So I have these 2 ears, and your eyeball's going to be right there. That's your eyeball. And you're just going to figure out where you like the ears. Now, if you want them traditional elephant, they go down. But I kind of like them like Dumbo elephant, where they stick out. You know, if you want to get really technical, you can put a wire in them. I kind of like them like that, sticking way out. They're pretty funny. This is my fringe. This is the right way. Like I said, try not to lose track of your fringe. And they're kind of floppy because we made them thin, but it's felted, so that's what you want. So we have our little floppy-eared elephant. And then we're going to take a little bit of black, poke it in his eyeball. They have tiny little eyes for such huge animals. Give him another eyeball. Notice I'm not rolling it into a ball. I just like to poke it in. Just try and take even amounts, not like I just did. I got more on this side, so I have to poke it in a little bit more. So there's one thing I want you to look at once you get it on, all this on. You got your ears on, you got your eyes on, we got a little lump on our head here that has to be worked in. But I want you to take an extra piece, make a little stack, and come down between his eyes. This is going to tie all this together. Between his eyes. Build up this ridge between his nose, his eyes, because then it'll really look like an elephant. And then just felt him smooth, and you're all done. So I think we're going to shoot another quick video after this one, how to make his balloon. So I'll be back in a minute with a balloon video. Okay, so I've been stabbing on him. A couple things I want to bring to your attention. I like to make wrinkles in their nose. So we're just going to sculpt in some wrinkles. You can go down as far as you want. You can add a little darker gray in there if you want more definition. It's just something I like to do because they have them. You know, they have super wrinkly noses. But I digress. I am going to show you how to make a balloon for him. So I have here 26 gauge floral wire. You get this in the floral department of the craft store. So I'm going to just take out a nice big long piece. And I love it because it comes with its own cutter. I have a big piece. So I'm going to double it up. It's a pretty easy little process here. And I'm going to twist it. We're making the balloon string. See how I'm twisting it around my finger? There's a reason. So that's your balloon. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so now I'm going to use some yellow. But notice that's balloon shaped, all right? And It's really easy to make a balloon. We're just gonna wrap that little shape, keep it all up in there. Don't go down there. Okay, you don't want to make your balloon too big or it'll be too heavy for the wire. Probably should have undid this before I... Remember, balloons graduate up. This color is called Sun. And it's a DHG fiber. Maori Bergschaft stuff. Felt really good. It's just a nice clear yellow. Clear, bright yellow. So now I'm just poking around. Be very careful you don't poke yourself if you're doing it like I'm doing it. The key to using your hand is to poke away from yourself. So you just want to poke it into that balloon shape. This is how I do my balloons for my birthday mice too. Keep rolling it around so you can get it evenly round. And my wire is sticking out if you didn't notice there. I'm going to switch back to my single needle. Let's get this nice and firm up in here. So basically you're making a round ball on a wire. I suppose you could take a felt ball and run a wire through it, but it's not as fine a wire as this, because you want it to look like string. You want that wire up in that balloon to be able to support it. I suppose if you want to get technical, you could wet felt the balloon. Don't make your balloon too big for your elephant, because elephants are big and balloons are little compared to an elephant. So it needs to be a little balloon. I just added a little bit of stuff here around the base. Okay, so we have a little balloon. Make sure he's kind of smooth, because now we want to make him look like a balloon. You know, you don't have to do the next step if you don't have it. I just think it makes it look more like a balloon. I'm going to power wax the whole thing. So I hear that people are having a hard time finding power wax. I saw that Serafina's out of stock on it. I don't see it on Amazon at the moment, but I do see it on some of the PowerTech's websites. So you could probably check those out. I hope they don't discontinue it, because I'm an addict and I will go, look at the giant one I have here. I will go into what's it called? Withdrawals. Okay, so I am just going to power wax. Be generous. Power wax this whole thing. It's going to smooth it out and make it look like a balloon. If you have one of those tiny little mini irons, after it's dry, sometimes you can, if you hit it with the iron, it'll sink into the fiber and you won't even see it. But I don't mind the color change on the balloon so much because then it looks like latex. Now, look at this. I saw it. There's a black fiber in there. I want it out. You can make polka dotted balloons, make any kind of balloons. So twist it down here around your wire. I want all those fibers to lay down. Takes quite a bit of power wax to get it totally smooth. And you gotta work it into the fiber, squish it in. Okay, that'll probably be enough. I just gotta work it here. Always make sure to put the lid back on your power wax tight or it will dry out. We were just having this conversation the other day. We're wondering if you can revive some semi-dried out power wax with water. We're going to try it. So any stray hairs I have on this balloon, I will cut off. But then I'm just going to hook it to his trunk with the wire. Just wrap it around his trunk. You're going to want to really wrap it tight to get it to stand up. And then he has a birthday balloon. It's pretty cute. Stand up. There we go. So you have one elephant with a birthday balloon. It's pretty cute. Thanks for joining me today as we made our little party elephant, birthday elephant with his balloon. Make sure you click like and follow us because it really helps us out. If you need supplies, head over to the farm store at liongate.org. And don't forget to join the Facebook group. It's Southern Oregon fiber felting and whatever. Just come join us on Facebook.